And welcome back to Raiders of the Lost Archive, the Mitford podcast. I'm Judith.
And I'm Lyn.
We are absolutely thrilled to have you joining us again at our virtual campfire as we're about to blow off the dust of the insane story of the Mitford sisters.
We guarantee the most in-depth coverage on the Mitford sisters available anywhere on the internet. So pop on those headphones and let's get ready to raid the Lost Archive. What do we have for today, Judith?
Well, episode 3 is out. And it's called Sparks Light Fire.
Yeah, the title was a bit... I didn't know what to make of it.
I guess sometimes they have to be a bit ominous. Girl on the rebound was very clear.
Yeah, it was. Shall we dive straight in?
Let's.
So, we start in March 1934. Unity has returned, well, half a year after Unity and Diana were at the Reichsparteitag in Nuremberg, and Unity came back, well, completely inflamed with her love for fascism. So half a year later, it's March 1934, and we see her working out in the garden, which is not really a garden, it's more like a park because they have a mansion.
She turns on a huge gramophone.
Yeah, and she's doing like marching style music. How would you call that music she's playing? It's
sort of militaristic marching band.
So we see her kind of working out because the Nazis like their working outs. Being physically fit was very important, and as we see her doing her military style workout, which Unity ends with a shout out of Sieg Heil, we hear Nancy giving a characterization of her off screen saying, Unity has always been obsessive, and maybe, already as a child, maybe this is what will drive her over the edge. So the family starts worrying, not the entire family, but Nancy and Decca start worrying about her, that this time it's over obsessive. What will come of this?
Like, yes, I guess at first they're all very much entertained by the show that Unity's putting on, but as the scene goes on, they start all starts dawning at them that this is more than just a pure spectacle to make fun of.
Yeah. So then we move to Nancy. Nancy is in debt. We hear a lot about her debt, a lot about her financial situation in this episode.
Diana visits her in her suburban little house.
Peter is still not in a job. That is why the financial situation is the way it is. And Diana visits her with the kids and reveals she is pregnant and she will have an abortion.
Yes, although we don't hear these two words. They're never said.
Yeah.
Nobody says pregnant. Nobody says the word abortion.
Yeah.
But it's they make it clear in different ways. And then it gets very clear. Well, Nancy's trying to to find a solution to the situation. But then it gets very clear that an abortion, or not having the child, basically, is the only way possible for Diana. And she says she would love to have Mosley's child, of course, but it's impossible.
Well, she gives all kinds of a variety of reasons, really, why she cannot have this child. And what I took away, that her mind is very set, that the decision has been made already in her mind. And because she was so composed, she was not the emotional, I don't know what to do and blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. This was not who she was. Her mind was set. And then when she then she would just go through with it. But in the end, Nancy says, "Oh, you're making an awful lot of sacrifices." And Nancy feels sorry for Diana. Diana does not feel sorry for herself in this situation.
Yeah. The one emotional change you see with Diana is, and the main reason why Diana goes to Nancy is to ask her, because they're very, very close at this point. They've shared quite a lot of like really lovely, nice scenes in the last episode as well. The main reason is to ask Nancy if she would come with her to the abortion clinic and sort of be there with her. And Nancy says yes, of course. And then Diana is very relieved to sort of to have that. Like that is the one moment where she drops her composure for a little second.
Then we see Unity campaigning on her parents to let her go to Germany. So she's doing all kinds of things. She's working on both her parents to convince them that going to Germany is the best solution. And she has found a language school where other British aristocratic girls go to. And she even for her father, she makes the financial point as because of the conversion rate of the Reichsmark, I think it was,
I guess,
to the pound. She says, "If you let me go to Germany, this will be cheaper for you. My allowance will go further there than staying here." And this is what interests. This is a clever plan of her.
She found exactly the right arguments for both her parents. For Mum, it was more about like, oh, it's very reputable. Like Lady so and so's, Lady Hescott's daughters are going there as well. It's a finishing school.
Yeah.
And then for Favre, it was more the financial side, and that he would have one less mouth to feed.
Yeah, and then we know why she wants to go. She wants to be close to Hitler, but that's not what she says, of course. She says, "Oh, I want to learn German. I want to learn about German culture and German music and discuss Wagner," as if this was somehow the reason for her to go. This is like when you study at university and you want to do your Erasmus year abroad, then you have to apply for the scholarship, and then you come up with all kinds of reasons why it's beneficial to your studies to go there. So you will find this is the professor here and he specialized in this thing that I want. No, but you just want to spend the summer in Paris. That really is the reason why you want to go. But you cannot say this on your application. So this is basically, she's doing what you and I did too in the past to bring you over the line with your argument so you can get to the point of what you really want to do.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much.
So clever of her.
I mean, to be fair, like her other sisters went to France to study French. Is that actually true?
Yeah, that is true, and that was a very normal thing to do a year when you come out, to go a year abroad, and you get the contacts to other, you meet, it's like networking.
Yeah, yes, 100%. I mean, to be fair to Unity, I mean, she learned German really, really well. Like she totally did that as well. Like she also she had to, because she wanted to communicate with Adolf Hitler, ideally further down the line. But so she definitely ticked the academic box.
Yeah. She did learn German really, really fast. We will also see this in another scene later in the same episode. But I thought it was, she did really well with her transition to Germany, despite not having been to school. Academically, these girls had nothing to show for, none of them. And still, they learned German very well. Diana, too, even though she never lived in Germany, but she did extensive trips. She spent many, many months of each year in Germany. But still, learning a language is hard. Learning German is hard.
Yes, it is. I've got a couple of friends who are trying to learn German. Yeah, it is tough. How did Diana manage to learn? Did she take lessons? Did she have a tutor?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all right. Okay.
And her German was very, very good. And she used many German words in her letters, Unity as well. Like, like words they found expressed bad, like they did not have, the English translation didn't really fit what they wanted to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like being, yeah, speaking several languages. I completely understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do an episode later on after we covered the show, in which we will talk about the letters, or maybe it will be a two-parter.
Yes.
And
Probably. There's so many letters.
there is a very funny letter of Nancy where she makes fun of the German words that Diana and Unity threw around, where she she pretends to brag about the German words she has already learned, and the words were Pfui and Rassenschande.
Wow.
And then it's a very short letter, and then she makes up a little poem with the handful of German words that she knows, and it's about Pfui and Rassenschande. And we definitely have to include this letter in our episode, because Nancy was so witty. She was hilarious. I mean, she was mean, but she was hilarious.
Did Nancy speak? Nancy spoke French, huh?
Yeah, she was a Francophile.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. The one last thing I'll say about the whole scene where Unity is trying to win her parents over, like what is really, really nice and like a proper distinction, or like very different from, for example, Downton Abbey, is that you see Mum and Unity collecting eggs from the chickens, and Mum and Unity, they're also carrying around bed sheets. It's like they're kind of like doing labor. They're doing menial work, which in Downton Abbey that would have never ever happened. They like the staff wouldn't have let them.
Yeah, but the family of Downton Abbey was rich because Cora brought the American money in.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I mean, we get to learn that I don't know what the father was called in Downton Abbey, that they had to marry her because they were poor and they couldn't keep the house, and so she had to marry an American heiress, and made her the Lady of Downton Abbey. And then they got along and everything was fine. But
I don't remember that bit. Okay.
She was an American, yeah. That and that is a bit like the story of Winston Churchill's parents, because his mother was a rich American heiress as well. People always forget that he was half American. Yeah, and his family, because they had Blenheim Palace and everything, but you need the money to run this thing. And that's where the mother came in with her inheritance.
Unless later on you open up your huge mansion to the public, which is what Deborah did. But we'll get there at some point later. We're not quite there yet. Yeah. And what they did at Buckingham Palace as well, eventually. Well, okay, so that is funny, sort of like seeing them carry around the eggs, the bed sheets.
Yeah, and they did carry around. I like that they do not even bring it up, the eggs, collecting the eggs, but this was something that they did every day, and it was somehow important. Like the chickens, taking care of chickens was one of the most important things to Debo and to Pam as well. Debo wrote a book about chickens.
Poetry connoisseur.
Yeah, but that was Pam. That was no, that was Pam. The poultry connoisseur. But Deborah wrote a book about chickens. Yeah.
Deborah wrote the book. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, yes.
Okay. So, yeah, this was very important to them, the chicken
egg
business.
Money.
The
egg money was hugely important. Remind me why the egg money was important again. What did they do with it?
The egg money, the parents used it to pay for the governess who was tutoring the children in the nursery.
The daughters.
Because they didn't go to school, but they learned some things. They had to learn reading and writing and so. So that was the money was for.
And just because you mentioned sort of like that, it was quite interesting that Unity like went to that finishing school in Munich and like kind of learned the language so well. Like even though she didn't have any formal education, like I guess. The situation would have been very, very similar or the same for all the other girls who went to the finishing school, because they all came of aristocratic households. They would have all been educated not at a public or at a school, but by governors. Like they all had like sort of like a similar home education.
Yeah. Then we go to the, I call it the abortion clinic, because it looks like a real clinic. I mean,
the location is great. I really love the location
they do have.
found for
I
this.
mean, it's not some back streets kind of butchery back shop. I don't know. It's a real clinic with clinic beds, and there are nurses, and everything is clean, and it looks like a clinic. So very, I mean, not the place to be afraid of a procedure having done to you.
Yes.
And Di is there with Nancy, and they kind of talk about. Diana's a little bit concerned about, what if I die now? I did not I have no will, and who will take care of my children and so on. Nancy's by her side, and it's a bit tense. Like they know, this is. I mean, it's not like a procedure that is. I mean, today you can get it done very safely, of course, but back then, you didn't know what kind of guy is doing this. What exactly is he doing? Will you be fine? It was not a safe, or you could not be sure what would happen 100%.
Exactly. Plus, and I mean, like Diana said earlier, it's a very reputable clinic. It's quite expensive. Mosley is paying for it. But Brian Guinness, she can't really make her ex-husband pay for the abortion with her now lover. But yeah, I guess like let's remember as well that Diana is very young, and like she's never had any surgery done to herself, and like probably she's never really been to any clinic, because back then all the deliveries of her children were probably at home. They must have been at home.
Yeah, she had her appendix out on the kitchen table of her parents' house.
Yes, was that Diana?
Yeah.
Wow, yes. How old was she?
I think maybe 10 or so. Young. Yeah.
Okay, yes, that is that story. Okay.
Yeah, so she did not go to the hospital for that. Muff would not have that. She did not, I mean, trust doctors with her strange health beliefs that she had.
Muff was not sort of in favor of any doctors.
No.
And they kind of, just before Diana like was almost about to sort of feel really, really bad when, like, with her appendix, they called a doctor, and then he kind of cleared the kitchen table. I was like, okay.
So this abortion clinic is much better. It's not a kitchen table. It's
But like, it was a lot more risky back then when you had some kind of surgery done to you, and when you went to a clinic. So like, it's quite understandable that Diana has a moment where she's just like, what gets to her, you know? Yeah. And like you and I had been sort of wondering over the last couple of episodes of this podcast whether or not they would show the abortion, and like whether or not it would be in the script at all. And it is. And I'm personally really, really happy that it is, because that used to be the reality for so many women. And I mean, like this is the luxury version of the reality.
Yes.
Because the reality for most people, for like 98%, the normal working class people, would be like not in a nice clean clinic with nurses like that one, but exactly as you said, like to go into like some shoddy backstreet kind of dungeon like place, almost a sort of, like behind a butcher counter,
or you
something
just
like that.
did something to yourself in your home, and then you would die, because this happened a lot. This happened a lot, and it still happens. It's starting to come. I mean, women die much more now in the US, especially since the legislation was changed, because this will never make women not wanting to end a pregnancy. It causes them to have unsafe abortions. And when you read about cases where women died in botched abortions, like Sydney's, like Muff's mom herself died in a botched abortion, or like when women go to some hotel room and start injecting themselves with bleach or something. Like when you read reports of this, it's just horrific. It's like nightmarish stuff. It's unbelievable how far women would go or will go even today to end pregnancies, because this is still the better option for them. So yes, Diana is very much getting the luxury treatment. She's in a nice clinic in the West End. Everything is fine. She can afford it. Yeah.
Yes.
This is
Yes. Yeah.
as good as it gets. Yeah.
Yes. Pretty much.
We then moved to April 1934. It's Easter, and the family goes to church. And the way the scene opens is done in a way to make you believe for a moment that Diana has died.
Yes, correct. There's
I think it
ominous
was a
music
bit,
playing.
yeah, it was a bit unnecessary, I personally feel, because this was only like a moment when you see in the previous scene how Diana is pushed away in her hospital bed and Nancy looks after her, and then you don't know, will she live? And then there's a cut and you see Nancy, who had just promised to take care of Diana's
Yeah.
boys. And you see Nancy, we're holding one of the boys in her arm.
Yeah,
and
coming out of the house.
yeah, and the whole family is there. Diana is missing. And then
Nancy looks very, like, she looks not happy. She looks
Yeah.
quite somber.
And then like Nancy moves to the side and Diana emerges out of the house behind her. So this is, they were kind of playing with the audience's fear that she really has died. I think it was a bit cheap and unnecessary.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes, I agree. I'm not the biggest fan of that of it either. But yeah, I can see why they did it, and I can see that, like, sort of on paper it looks like a good, cool, fun thing to do. To sort of, I don't know, like hold the suspense for a few more moments. Yeah.
The Easter scene kind of catches where every family member is in, what the mindset is of all the siblings.
At church, yes, 100%.
We see Decca there's a collection during the service, of course. Decca takes coins out of the collection basket to put it into her running away fund.
Yes.
Unity carves a swastika into the wood of the church bench. Diana has to sit down. She cannot stand during Mass because she whispers to Nancy, like, I'm still bleeding after the abortion. This was shortly after. And we get to see the animals that they take to church.
I was about to say that. Yes, the sheep. The sheep.
The sheep was called Miranda, by the way. And I really like what they have really done well in the show is that they put these little things, and they are so authentic about how the family was, how eccentric they were, and they sprinkle it all over the show without mentioning it. They just show it to you, like they drop it, and then.
I absolutely agree. And like that scene with the sheep, like Farf comes with the dog on a leash, and then Decca is like with Miranda, the sheep, on a leash as well.
They even had a pony they took to church. They had Unity, because she's Unity. She took her pet snake and her rat to church. So everybody had some sort of pet they took to church. And remember, this is a tiny village. I mean, the village is maybe 15 houses or something.
Swinbrook.
Yeah. It's like everybody there knows them. They are the highest ranking family in the area. And basically they can do whatever they want. They will let them get away with everything. And they choose to take the sheep to church. I mean, this is such a detail. And I love that they did not leave that out, because little details like this make the family the way it was. They were exceptionally
Yeah, it
eccentric.
paints a fuller picture, a
Yeah,
more colorful picture of
yeah,
them, definitely. And I love the little shot they had, like with the dog and the sheep standing, and like the church in the background. Beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful, beautiful little shot. Yeah.
yeah. After church, they go back to the house and they are all in like a sitting room. Poor Peter Rudge, he reads the newspaper. They are all in the sitting room together and he reads the newspaper with the news about another piece of clumsy exposition. Esmond Romilly ran away from school. Now, so that the audience knows who's Esmond Romilly, they say, oh, isn't he a cousin? Like they don't know that. Like everybody's there. Oh, who is this? Yeah, he is a cousin. Of course he is. I mean, to be fair, they did not know him personally. He was um, not a distant cousin, but they didn't know him personally. They just knew it by the name,
They knew of him. The newspaper article says Winston Churchill's nephew.
by marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Decca is intrigued, of course, because he ran away from school. Oh, he's a rebel.
Yeah, and like to sort of like with communist agitators.
Yes.
He had been colluding or something.
Here,
Yeah.
here. So, and everybody else thinks this is hilarious. Like, they make fun of it, they laugh about it, like, ha 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 ha. And Favre, because he is the one, Esmond is related to his side of the family. He is very serious about it. Like, he shuts down this laughter and says he will not hear about Esmond or any of this connection, and then he burns the newspaper. Everyone else heads out, and then Decca goes to the chimney, not to the fireplace, and saves the paper with the article because there's a picture of Esmond Romilly, and she is intrigued because he's so hot.
Yeah. And he ran off. Yeah, to spite
Yeah,
the,
and I mean he
to
was
fight-
only
fight
he
the
was
Spanish
only
fascists.
he was only 15, 16
So
at the time. He was so young.
Yeah, that was his actual age, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, that is just,
It's absolutely crazy.
yeah, like running away when you're 15 years old because of politics.
Yeah, but at the same time, this is the years when you are radical and young and rebellious and like the Sturm und Drang phase of your life. This is probably the time of your life where it's the easiest to make this sort of decision. You will not make this decision when you're 45.
100%, 100%.
So yeah, Esmond really ran away from home, and I mean, let's not forget he was from a rich family as well. Yeah, he had all the nice background. He went to the nice school, and he hated that. Yeah, I mean, he hated the whole school system, the boarding school system, the upper class. He hated that. But we will talk about the Spanish Civil War later on. Anyway, Decca is in love because she saw a picture of him in the newspaper.
And she finds him so handsome. Yeah,
Yeah.
very cute.
So next we have a Pam scene. We have not seen a lot of Pam. She was only like there on the side, in the background. This is one of the the only time that we really see her.
That scene starts off with a really, really great camera angle. Like kind of like shot from below, and like you see them kind of like walking by. Like it's a very nice camera angle. Loved it.
It's Nancy and Pam, walking along. Nancy has 2 novels already out at this time, and she's working on a new project. It's called Wigs on the Green, and it's meant to ridicule the fascists. It's like a satire, Pam kind of challenges her, like, do you think this is a good idea? Because Diana and Unity take this shit very seriously. What if it rubs them the wrong way? And Nancy says, oh, it's just a tease. And this was a gross miscalculation on her part. And anyhow, she got, from her publisher, she got an advance check for this book that she's writing at the moment. And because they are in big money trouble, she has paid she had used all this advance money.
Yeah.
So the decision to publish or finish this book or not is not in her hands anymore. And this is really how this is all true. What we see here, this really was the way it was. Yeah. So, and Pam reveals to Nancy that she bought a car with the money that she earned. She earns money.
Yeah, the new love of her life. That's how
Yeah.
she introduces the car. Then she sort of tells Nancy her plans to go across Europe with the car. And she says, we will be first going to France and then the Alps and then Italy and down to Venice, yada, 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 yada. And then Nancy's like, who's we? And Pam is, well, my car and I, my newfound love and I.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then Nancy thinks it's very brave to go alone.
As a
But Pam
woman.
says, well, and Pam says, well, I think it's very brave to write that book that you're writing. Which
Yeah.
kind of like is a very nice contrast of
Yeah.
perspectives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is this whole car trip thing comes completely out of the blue. I mean, Pam did not really show up in any meaningful way until now, and she does not appear in the rest of this episode as well. It's not like we see her now doing this trip. And just let me check how far in time this episode goes. But for almost a year on. So we don't see Pam making this trip. It has never been mentioned before. We don't see we don't see her making this trip. And so I feel like, why do you show this to us when it's not? This is like they tell, they don't show, and this is something that I do not appreciate. It doesn't do anything for the character when you tell us the character is doing this, and we do not get to see it. Also, we did not get to know the character before, and now you show us that, or you tell us that this is her plan, but then you do not show us that she's doing it, and you do not show us how does this affect her in any way. So it's kind of, I think it's a good scene, but it's so lost.
Yes, and it is, yeah, exactly. It's the only Pam scene, and then like you don't have anything else following on from that, which is a pity. And then the other point is that like while the whole Nancy and her books thing, like that is very much exactly how it happened. But then we have the whole Pam story arc, and like that is very different. Like that feels very, very different from what Pam's story was like in reality, because Pam, like the thing that struck me is and already before, is that Pam is always very in Outrageous in the series portrayed as like very manly,
a very butch character. Yeah.
but then the thing was that by all her other siblings, like they of course had a nickname for Pam, which was woman. And the thing that just strikes me is that in Outrageous, she is the one sister that does not come across as a woman. Like, like all the other sisters are a lot more female.
Yeah.
Yeah, which like is fine, but like it's sort of it's just it contradicts reality, or it's not as it was like. And she's being portrayed as like the adventurous sister. Like I know what they're trying to do with it and like why they're doing it.
Yeah, but the only adventurous thing that she did was this one car trip that we don't get to see. And then it's a problem to portray her, to call her that, the adventurer, when we don't see her having any adventures. We don't see her doing anything, really.
Yeah. And Lynn, didn't you say earlier that like at that time, like which was sort of like spring, summer 1934, like Pam actually got to meet her later husband?
Yeah, and that it was in that year, 1934, that she met him. She has been briefly engaged before that, before they broke it up, because they didn't really like each other. And they broke it off. I mean, the invitations were sent out already, and it was shortly before the date of the wedding. And they had to return all the wedding gifts because they had already arrived. So this was a late decision.
That was the first guy she was engaged to or with. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, and was that 1934 or was that even earlier?
That was earlier. Yeah.
Oh, we don't get to see that anyway.
No, we don't. She had quite many admirers over the years, and we don't get to see any of that. I mean, she really is an almost written out of the script. I mean, she is the sister that she's the only one who did not write an autobiography. She did not keep her letters. So even in the big book of Charlotte Mosley with all the letters, there's almost nothing of Pam in there, only from the very late years. So there is not a lot of material about her. But yeah. So by far, she's a sister we don't know enough about. So that is why, I mean, they portray her in this butch way because she would later in her life have a relationship with a woman. That is the reason they're doing this now. So she is so queer coded, but it doesn't. I completely agree with you that it doesn't match with the way her life really was at this time. And she was called woman by everyone in the family in all the letters. That was just, nobody ever called her Pam. Nobody called her by her given name. She was a woman. And when you call that, and then you queer code her so much, but then later on, I mean, I think it was in the next episode, in the fourth episode, which is upcoming now, that she will get to meet her husband. So she will get married to a man first, and she will stay married for quite a long while. So nothing in her life indicates queerness at this point. And I think they're just doing this to get some Vogue points, probably.
All right, the next scene. Rod and Nancy are getting ready for bed, and after having spoken to Pam, Nancy is now really, really worried about her book, which will portray the fascists, well, which will be a satire on the fascists and make a bit of fun about some fascists. And she kind of tries to discuss it with her husband, who's quite dismissive of all of that. And but then the main thing is that he has the sudden idea that they should go to one of Mosley's public events and speeches for research. And he also says that they've already spent the publisher's advance, so she pretty much has to write that book. So that is actually the main argument. Yeah, and Nancy sort of like being pulled, like it feels like Nancy sort of gripping into something she's not really keen of getting into, but then she doesn't have too much of a choice. It's kind of happening, and with him not earning anything,
Yeah.
yeah, she has limited options.
The fact that they have spent the advance already comes up in every Nancy scene in this episode.
Yes, I noted as well. Yeah.
So Pam does not have a storyline, but this fact comes up in every Nancy scene, as much as the fact that she was a virgin at 28 came up in every scene of the first two episodes. But Pam doesn't exist.
Yes, we don't hear anything about her virginity anymore because she's finally lost it.
And who cares about Pam's virginity, by the way? Whatever.
The next scene is back at the Mitfords' house. And I feel you and I will do a special episode at some point about the different places where they lived.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the different houses and how they lived and like why they had to move somewhere else. And yeah, we see like the scene opens with Decca, how she's reading a book and she has that cutout picture from the newspaper of Esmond Romilly. And then Unity comes in and says the words, "I'm going." And so turns out that Unity has convinced the parents or warn them out, as Decca puts it, warn them down.
Yeah.
So like this is sort of like the big revelation, at least for Unity.
Reveal. Yeah.
that she's
And
now
yeah.
finally allowed to go to that finishing school in Munich, where she will learn German and be as close as possible to the Führer, Adolf Hitler, because that's her new thing now that she follows. And yeah, and Decca is completely surprised and impressed because she's like, her sentiment is that Unity managed to break the will of their parents, and you get the sense that like she's envious of that. Yeah, because she and let's remember, I think in episode 1 it was Decca who always asked and begged the parents to go to university and to go to some school.
So then we quickly move to Munich.
Yes. Oh, one last thing about that scene. So Unity then says, "I'm going to Munich," and I have to repeat the next words that Decca said: "A city of filthy Nazis." Yeah.
True.
And some of our viewers and listeners might remember Lyn and I are very much from Munich. It's yeah, it hurts a little bit hearing that, I have to admit. Like we know it. We of course know Munich was always the city of the movement.
Yeah, the capital of the movement. Yeah.
And his Nazis. It was Adolf Hitler's favorite place, anyways, favorite city. He liked to stay there a lot more compared to Berlin. He didn't like Berlin.
But I mean, he spent until he later in the war years when he had to spend time in Berlin, he spent all his time in Munich, and we know exactly where he lived. I always does this happen to you too when you are in the city somewhere and you're like, this is where he.
Yeah. Like the whole area where some of this happens, like where Unity met Hitler, where Hitler was hanging out, where Unity lived, where Hitler lived, where Unity, spoiler, sorry, but like shot herself in the head in the English garden, where the Braunes house was in Munich. Like Lyn and I know exactly all the streets, everything, and like it's all very, very close to each other. Like it's walking, like within walking distance, 15 minutes from each other. It's a very small kind of circle. Yeah.
And it's there because this is at the Königsplatz today. There's the NS Dokuzentrum, which is a relatively new museum about all the Nazi time and the way it happened in Munich. And they have a map of Munich there on a big table. The size of the city it was back then, and or of the area at least, and all the buildings in the area that were connected to the Nazi party are highlighted, and so you see the building which is new where the museum you are in is. You see that, and then you see all the other buildings around, and it's almost every building in the area used to be a Nazi building. It was mostly was party politics, and there was like from the Hitler Youth, the Hitler Girl Youth, the propaganda division, the Secret Service division, and so on. The SS, the SR, the SD, and they all had their headquarters. Every house in the area used to be connected in one way or the other to the Nazis. And to see this I know all these houses. It's, and this is all, you throw a stone and you will hit a Nazi. What I think my bottom line here is when Hitler said Munich was the capital of the movement, he meant it. Like it was really the city was swarming with party Nazis, much more than all the other cities in Munich, in Germany. So this is the reason why Unity had to go to Munich. Why she did not go to Berlin or to Hamburg or to Cologne.
The other reason was, of course, that Adolf Hitler, being originally from right across the border from Austria, and being originally Austrian, he was like his German was like more somewhere between Austrian and Bavarian German. Like you would hear that people like back in the day anyways, like would have heard that. So, like when he went to Berlin or to other places, like he didn't sound like there.
Yeah. I always think that he doesn't have a southern dialect at all. I always think when I hear Hitler speak, I always think this is Hitler German. This is not, nobody else spoke this way.
Yes, but I wonder, like I'm pretty sure that was the performance Hitler, and then there must have been like the everyday talking Hitler.
But it always pains me when I hear that when non-German speakers make remarks about Hitler's German and the way that that German today sounds like Hitler's German. Like it does not. Nobody speaks like Hitler in his speeches. This is true today. I'm sure it was true back then. He had a very distinct style of speaking in his performances. And also, I find it hard to understand. When he's doing his speeches, it's not easy to understand, even for a native speaker, because the tonality and the aggression, it's almost impossible to understand the speech when you hear it today, because German today sounds different than German sounded 100 years ago, of course.
So next scene, we're in Munich, Germany. And I mean, when I went to the London premiere of Outrageous several weeks ago, and I met Ellie Hayden, one of the directors. Ellie, I told Ellie that I was from Munich, and then luckily she warned me. She gave me a little warning and told me, well, look, we had a tight budget. We weren't able to travel to Munich to shoot there. Please don't be surprised. Like you will notice that the scenes that we shoot and they say they're in Munich, they're very much not in Munich. And back then I thought, well, it can't be that bad. Until like we kind of see that building. It's a really nice establishing shot. The camera kind of pans down. But then it is a brick building with very English windows. And then you see the words Munich, Germany. And it was like you can just tell, like immediately, there's no doubt whatsoever. This place would never, ever, with these windows, with those bricks, never, ever be in Munich. Yeah.
Or anywhere in Germany, for that matter.
Yes. Maybe up north, maybe a bit more.
No,
there's a lot of brick buildings.
Brick, but different.
Different
brick.
Yeah. The whole street, even the street looks wrong.
Yeah.
Even just the street, the asphalt, there's no boardwalk. Yes, it's wrong. Yeah. Well, what happens is Muv and Unity have arrived in Munich. They are Muv is bringing her to that finishing school. They are welcomed by Frau Braun, and they enter the building.
The whole scene gave me Harry Potter comes to Hogwarts the first time vibe.
Yeah,
they walk around inside and like Unity is like, oh, everything is so magical, everything is so German. Oh, look, there's an Adolf Hitler portrait on the wall. Very much gave this vibe. She is, everything is just awesome to her.
Yeah, and they walk through the cafeteria. Like what I noticed there is like what they did really well, and like a compliment to the set dressing. Like all the the posters are there, the Nazi posters, but then also sort of like there's a lot of signs in it would translate to old German writing and letters. Like which, and you know what, like it's never occurred to me, but it was, I think, just in Germany and in German-speaking areas, and in England and in the UK and in France or Italy, you would not know these letters.
Yeah,
you would have never written that way. And it's sort of like, it looks Gothic in a way. It's very German. And the Nazis, little fun fact, the Nazis sort of very much promoted those letters and like wanted to have them used everywhere until 1941, because then somehow someone found out that supposedly those letters were invented by a Jew. No, that's not a joke. That really happened. Like all the Nazis until 1941 were like, yeah, we have to sort of write everything in old German letters to sort of express conscious German thoughts, like to be very German, super German. And then all of a sudden, someone was like, oh, those letters were invented by a Jew. I don't know
It's a Jew
if they
thing
were
now.
invented by a Jew, but then they were like, okay, stop. Pull back.
Let's get rid of them.
Like, let's write everything in normal letters. There you go.
So now Unity is very happy.
Very, very, yes. And she thanks Mob. And
She's so happy. Shall we move on? Because the next scene I found very interesting. What happens next? Because Nancy promised Diana she would go and listen to Oswald with an open mind. And this is the scene where this happens. So Nancy and Peter go to Di, and they put on black shirts, like a costume, basically. They dress themselves up as fascists to attend one of Oswald's rallies. Di hopes to convert them and to turn them into proper fascists.
Yeah. Di can't attend, of course.
She cannot be seen with him
because of the scandal.
And Peter doesn't really take it seriously. He's more like, let's see. It's a bit like, he's curious. Like, oh, let's see. So
it's like going to the circus.
Yeah, a little bit. And then we see Oswald's speech, and I will first say what happens, and then I will see how I will talk about how this is filmed, because I found it interesting and underwhelming. Spoiler alert. So we see Oswald's speech, and what happens is that there are protesters outside the hall where he gives the speech, and Oswald very much encourages the audience to attack and unleash violence at these protesters. And there's a huge fight breaking out. Di is at home listening at the radio, and Nancy and Peter later return home in their black shirts, still wearing them, and they're pretty much lucky to still be alive because the violence was so vicious. They say, oh, we were lucky to get out of this. So the speech very much does the opposite of what Diana had intended. Nancy and Peter had their doubts about fascism before, but now they are convinced that fascism is a threat to their society.
And that the fascists are thugs.
Yeah.
In their eyes now. And violent.
Yeah. And Nancy and Peter were very much on the same side here. This is the one thing during all their marriage that they were aligned.
Okay.
So they were always on the same side when it came to the politics, because not everything was bad about Peter Watt. This was the good thing about Peter Watt. So, and then the scene turns towards their money problems and Peter not having a job, and he accuses her of being unsupportive. No. Back to the speech. It reminded me, and did you feel the same? It reminded me to the Parteitag scene in the previous episode. While Diana and Nancy go to the Parteitag, and you can feel that the scene is supposed to serve a specific purpose, but they did not have the money to give the scene the grandeur it would have needed.
I had the same impression, yes. And what I thought was that filming a crowd of people is expensive, I guess. So sort of like, and that's why they had to make do with cheaper means. Which is fine, but that scene would have needed a larger crowd of people.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
you can't really sort of feel. I mean, you see Oswald standing there and kind of talking, but like you don't even see the crowd he's
yeah,
talking to.
yeah. So it's basically just him. It's just him on a stage, and there's a guard on either side of him. There's no audience. Um, the actor, the Oswald actor, does a great job.
Fantastic,
It's very good. But
fantastic.
all this, I mean, for 3 episodes now, we heard about how good of a speaker he is, and how mesmerizing he is towards the audience, and then we hear him speak, and there is no audience.
Yeah, and there's nobody who's being mesmerized where we can see
Yes,
that they're mesmerized.
yes,
That is completely missing, and
yes,
that is
and
a real
we
pity.
yes, and we do not see any protesters. We do not see the violence. We only
We do
hear
not
this
see
on
the
the radio.
fighting.
Yes. So this is again. This is they tell, they don't show, and this is a problem, I think, because then you do not feel it. So
And it was weird, so because when then, like, for me it felt when Peter and Nancy got back home and sort of like sad, like, ooh, like we were lucky to get out of that unscathed. It felt like there was a disconnect for me. I was like,
yeah,
huh? Was it that bad,
yeah,
really? Because
yeah,
you don't
yeah,
see it, you don't
yeah,
feel it.
yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't get to you.
yeah,
There was an emotional disconnect. And it was just like,
exactly.
really? Did they
Yeah,
attack that bad? Like, I mean, there were people shouting, but something else?
yeah. And this is, I mean, many of the rallies did end in violence. There was
Yeah.
a rally at Olympia that was very famous because I think maybe this was the one that was supposed to be the one where a huge fight broke out. And there was a lot of violence.
Yeah.
So we only hear it on the radio, and I had the exact same reaction as you when they come in, when they come home, Nancy and Peter. You're like, really, was it that bad? At the same time, we know that this is a critical moment of change because we hear the radio, and we see Diana listening to the radio, and Diana is very contempt as always. But the way she is filmed is they're using the vertigo movement in the
Yeah.
camera. Did you catch that? So for listeners who do not know what this is, and I think you pull back the camera while you zoom
Correct.
into. So,
Correct.
and this so
Yes.
it creates a a particular effect on the way, because you have the same what you see stays the
The,
same,
yes.
but
And the same object it remains in focus.
yes, but there is a movement, and when you see it, then you cannot really, you will notice something, but you cannot point what is the difference. And it's called the vertigo movement because Alfred Hitchcock used it in the film Vertigo for the first time to highlight the
The feeling of vertigo.
the angst
Yeah, the fear. The
of
fear. Yes.
looking down. So, and we see this effect on Diana while she's listening, but her face, when I remember correctly, her face does not give us any emotional response to the violence. So, but when you use the vertigo effect, then this is because you want to show that it's like an attention sign around your neck, basically. So this is a crucial
Don't do
moment
this
where
randomly.
this is the moment where they split ways, so to say.
Yeah, yes, and she's like Diana is almost sort of like even more pulled in, like into the whole fascism thing,
Yeah,
whereas
yeah,
Nancy's sort of like getting away from it, and that is sort of like the movement you get.
yeah, exactly. So I think this is really, it's so. We've had several scenes now where we've said we know what the scene is supposed to serve, which purpose for, but they didn't, for money reasons, they couldn't really pull it off. And this,
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why, but it would have been crucial to show the violence here, to
Yes.
show
Yes.
the effects, the consequences of fascism. Yeah, because
Yes.
fascism always ends in violence, always. It has never been enacted without violence. And you have to show this to make the audience um, so that the audience will understand why Nancy reacts the way she does,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
splits her. This causes a schism in
Yeah.
within
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
So
you're you're absolutely right. Like the little scene with the vertigo effect, that is all nice. That is like brilliant, really well done. But like the one thing that is missing is sort of the the crowds that are mesmerized by the fabulous speaker that Oswald Mosley was, and the violence that
yeah,
erupts then.
yeah,
And that is that is a real pity. It is
yeah.
very much missing.
And it has in several scenes. It has been. This was always the big argument of Decca. Fascists are they're criminals. They're violent. They're thugs.
Yeah.
And when you see unity in Munich with all the SS men in their uniforms, this is of course not the impression that you have. So to so you have to show us that Decca is right,
Yeah.
that Nazis always, I mean, they always encourage violence. This is
Yeah.
not what Oswald Mosley later claimed, of course, after the war. He said, well, we were always against the war. But no, he very much, in the scene, he encourages the violence. And he says,
Yeah.
get them, tear
Yeah.
them down.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean from history, like we also know that like at his speeches, this is pretty much what was happening.
yeah, it's always, I mean, it's also the same with speeches at Trump rallies. He encourages violence. He says, give them hell. And then people go and storm the Capitol and people die. This is the consequence. This is what happens. It's the same
Yeah.
playbook.
Yeah. Yeah. Only that in the US, you do that in a country where there are a lot of firearms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So, shall we move on?
yes.
There's more. There's more coming up. So the next scene is the first real scene of Debo.
Yes.
So she delivers a package to Decca with Esmond Romilly's book.
And he has COVID then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not only he ran away from his boarding school at 15 to join the communist movement, and he wrote a book together with his brother. They were very much on the same page. They wrote a book to like tell the truth from their point of view about the British educational system. Boarding schools are bad. So, in a nutshell. And I mean, he was, I think, 16 when it came out. Yeah, so he was a year younger. He was a year younger than Decca. And when he went away from boarding school, he did not go to his parents. So they didn't see him. He went lived with communists. Yeah, he did not meet his parents again. Yeah,
Ever.
I don't think so. No. Maybe later when they came back to London for a short time, maybe then he saw them once or twice. I don't know. But he did. I mean, he went away and he got this. He wrote the book and he published that, and then he went to Spain to fight in the Spanish Civil War. Very much got into the action of the real fighting. And then he came back to England where he met Decca. So at this point, I mean, I think this is very impressive.
Yes.
That he
100.
had
Yeah. 100%.
and he did not just do the talk, but he walked the walk, and he did not do the easy thing, which would have been, I go back to mom and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he could have
Like
been comfortable.
who pay a nice allowance every month.
Yeah.
So because by running away and like not having contact with his
Yeah,
family
and they
anymore,
would
like
have,
he's giving up on all that.
yeah, and they would have set him up with a job with some of their, you know, people they know. He could have had this comfortable life, and he very much decided to blow it at age 15. And he never tried to get back on this track. I mean, I understand why Decca was so intrigued with him, because he was a year younger and he managed to do all these things that she dreamed of doing but couldn't pull off
Yeah.
yet.
Yes. Yet. Exactly. How about Emily Romilly's brother? Like, he was older, I
He was a
imagine.
bit older. I don't know much about him. He was also involved in the movement, but I did not catch up with him. But
Yeah.
he was very close to his brother. Um, and yeah, then Debo and Decca have a talk, because Debo says, well, why? Why do you think communism and so on? Why do you think things have to change? Because I want everything to stay the way it is.
I like it how things are.
Yeah.
We live comfortably, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. And then Decca asks her, well, what do you want from your future? And this is I loved the way the scene goes on, because Debo then says, oh, I want to marry a rich and gorgeous man and live in a big country house. And Decca says, that's absolutely pathetic. And I love this so much. She's perfect. And of course, this is, Debo wanted the life that she had, living in this country house and, you know, being part of the aristocracy and so on. She wanted this to go on forever and to live up to this expectation. And she had said very early on in her life, without probably realizing how fantastical this sounds, oh, I will marry a duke. But then she will go on to do exactly that and to become the mother of all country houses in England. Yeah, I mean, she could not possibly have known that back then.
Yes,
of course.
yes. And I mean, like again, what is fascinating about Debo is that on one hand, like, she seems so traditional, right? Like so kind of reactionary and traditional in all her in the way of life that she's choosing. But then life catches up with her, you know, and like she has to introduce radical change to stay afloat, like later on, you know, with her huge house, Chatsworth House, that her husband inherits. So she has to sort of like move on and make progress.
Yeah, and then this progress will be absolutely not pathetic, of course.
No,
Yeah, it will be quite the opposite. It will be very impressive.
Yes, yeah. A kind of very much, very innovative.
Yeah, but she didn't see that coming. So that was a very nice scene, I think.
I agree.
I just love Decca's reaction. That's absolutely pathetic. I love Decca. She's my favorite. So meanwhile, Unity is in Munich with her friend Angela. She has a friend now. And they talk about how lucky they are to be in Munich during this. This is the most important time in the history of Germany, and we are here. We are alive. And they go to what is supposedly the Osteria, which is, of course, not the real Osteria Bavaria, where Hitler used to go to lunch almost every single day.
Yeah.
This is a very British building too. Is this Edwardian architecture? I was not sure about.
It's the most British or French style architecture you can find in the country. You would never, ever find a place like that in Munich. No. Like, or in all of Germany. No. It is a nice place.
And you could not have had such an establishing shot with the real Osteria, because this is not a standalone building. It's a very unimpressive looking street front.
Yes.
And it's at the corner, and it's just, if you did not know this place has the history it has, you would just pass it.
Yes, yeah, correct. And yeah, again, like Lynn and I know that place, that Osteria, like very, very well from kind of like walking past, cycling past, because it's in Schellingstraße, which is very close to where both of us studied and went to uni. And like
Yeah.
you just walk past there
Yeah.
all the time, pretty much.
I have never been inside.
No, never have I. But
Really?
but no,
I
no,
thought you
but
have
I
been
have a plan.
everywhere.
Okay, so here's a little podcast spoiler. So because I'll go to Munich next week, and I have the plan to go to Osteria, to go to the
Shall we
current, like
go there
the now
together? Let's go together.
called Osteria Italiana, like because I'll meet some uni friends anyways.
Oh, you cannot take
Yes,
me. It's
and
okay.
I'll be on a bike, and no, probably not. And like I'll take a lot of pictures.
We should.
And I'll do selfies in front of the Osteria Bavaria. Maybe like I should, maybe like I wonder if I should bring like a little Adolf Hitler, like on a cardboard. I'm joking. Maybe I will. With me and like do a selfie in front of the Osteria. That would be so raw.
So we see the Osteria, we have the establishing shot, and there's a big um,
Sign saying Juden verboten,
Juden verboten.
which means no Jews allowed.
Yeah.
And then they walk in.
Yeah, and Unity reserves a table for herself, a table for one, for lunch.
Yes.
And she says for every day. She wants to have lunch there every day in order to run into Hitler eventually. That's her plan.
And so because she hears, of course, that Hitler is having lunch there very, very frequently, and because she's stalking him. So that is her plan. I really, really enjoyed and like it how Sharon Watson is playing all that obsession,
Yeah.
that fanaticism, like that
And
growing fanaticism. It's really good.
at this point, she's in Munich for her language classes for 2 weeks, and she's already fluent in German.
Then she's greeted by Rosa, who's the Kellner, sorry, the waitress, and she speaks proper high German, which is very much what you wouldn't speak in Munich. But like criticizing all that, what is still great is they're actual German speakers.
Mhm.
So she might be bilingual. That I don't know. The actress, but it's proper German. And I'm saying that because in a couple of other films and series, like where there were German speakers, for example, The Man in the High Castle, which is also about like where you also have an Adolf
Yeah.
Hitler
Yeah.
person, and like which was also playing with the Third Reich. You have a couple of actors who are supposed to be Germans and who speak German, but you can hear that they're not German. And I find this, as a German, I find this so annoying. I find it so, I'm like, I just think like there's enough German actors there, good ones, pick one of them.
There are even so many German actors living in England.
So the next scene is a scene between Favre and Mauve.
Yeah, we are in July 1934 now, and Sydney checks the books. David drops in on her as she sits at his desk, and she, after hearing for many months that financially everything is okay, she decided to check the books, and she finds out the whole disaster about the family's finances.
She had an inkling that something
yeah.
wasn't right and that it was being hidden from her.
And Favre is surprised and he's mad at her, and we learn that there is no plan B. Like, he says, oh, there's ups and downs at the stock market.
It's only temporary, always.
And she knows it's not that. So he's useless, as I said many times. And there is no plan B. So they're simply running out of money fast.
What was really, really interesting was the very small scene that Muv and Nancy had like shortly thereafter, where Muv says to Nancy, like, because she's asking Nancy about her husband about Peter's job situation, and hears that, well, he still doesn't have a job and that it's financially tricky. And then Muff says, well, maybe consider having a separate bank account. Like, which is sort of probably like, which is a very progressive thought for a woman like her, who's very much not progressive.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we see Unity back at Osteria because she spent a lot of time at Osteria, as did Hitler, because apparently when you're Chancellor of Germany, you can afford 3-hour lunch breaks every single day. And she explains to her friend Angela the plan about how to meet Hitler. And she has found the best spot where to sit, so she can, when she sits there at having lunch for 3 hours,
The right angle.
yeah, she can see him because he is like an SS is in a the Nazis are in a sort of separate booth in the back, and then she can see him, and then she says, it's only worth it coming in anyway when the swastika flag at the Brown House is up, because this indicates that he's in the city.
Yeah.
Just like when the flag over Buckingham Palace is raised. Then
Yes.
the Queen is in the house, or the King is in the house.
The king now, yeah. Yes, very much so. And again, like the Brown House was right around the corner, like maybe, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes away from the Osteria. So yeah.
So, and then he comes in. So we do not see him from the front. We only see him. We only see his back. But everybody rises, and all the hands go up to Deutschen Gruß. Yeah, they're doing the salute. Unity in this scene talks like a crazy person. She is completely insane.
Yes. She has found her purpose, her one purpose.
Yeah, I think
and she's hyper focused on it.
Yeah, I think it was Nancy who once called her in a letter, Unity was more Nazi than the Nazis. And in this scene, you pretty much see what she meant by that. Then we have a scene with the family back at Swinbrook at the table. A very reduced family because Diana is not here, of course. Unity is not here. Tom is there. And they talk about...
Pam isn't there either, so...
Yeah. She's on the trip that we don't get to see.
Exactly.
So, Tom highlights all the positive things Hitler has achieved, which is the Autobahn and raising the national spirit. So these are two things.
They're having a political debate about like if fascism is sort of like thuggery or a violent thing.
Yeah, and Decca confronts Tom and says, well, what about all the bad stuff? The treatment of unionists, Jews, abolishing freedom of press, what about all the violence? And he kind of says, well, this is not what I have seen. And Tom has, they don't show this in the show, but Tom has studied in Berlin. He has been to Germany, he spoke German too. Muff has just been to Munich. And they say, well, this is not what we have seen on the street. It was very clean, very orderly, very organized. Everybody's in good spirits, you know? And for them,
everything's fine in Germany.
And they have never seen the violence. We as an audience have not seen the violence as well because the show didn't show us. Yeah. So they fight about the truthfulness of these claims. And Decca says, oh, but this and this, these bad things are happening. And Tom says, well, this is just propaganda. I don't buy it.
Yes.
And so we see the rift in the family, and Decca's very much alone in her
and then they're sort of trying to pull Nancy in a little bit as well. And Decca is like, well, Nancy, you have been like to a fascist rally of Oswald Mosley, and like you've seen the thuggery and the violence, and but Nancy like doesn't let herself be pulled into this. So like she tries to stay out of it.
Yeah, she's very reluctant to join in on the conversation because of, well, the next scene that will happen.
Yes, she has a lot of problems and worries.
Yes, and also because she knows that when she positions herself openly against fascists, then this will strain her relationship with Diana. She knows this. So, but then she comes clean and she says, yeah, fascists are bad and Oswald is the worst of them. She says this to the rest of the family.
Remind me again, like Favre didn't have a good opinion about Oswald Mosley as well, wasn't it? Or none of them liked him.
No, it was not like that. Debo very much liked him at the beginning. She was smitten. Nancy didn't like him. Favre very much was against anything German or French at this point. And he basically says the Times doesn't write anything bad about Nazis, and they would if Nazis were bad. And I believe
That was the truth. Yeah.
He does not he does not position himself.
No.
For him, it's not a fascist versus democracy or communist issue. For him, it's a Britain first issue. England above anything else. But this will play out in the next episode.
So Favre and Debo are the two characters who are staying out of the whole political debate completely and sort of try to sort of, I don't know, shut it down together. The next scene is then, Diana and Oswald. We see the two of them in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Oswald topless with suspenders on.
I'm so smitten.
Which was hot.
Yeah, and Diana is reading the book of
Nancy's
Nancy
book
before it is published, because Nancy gave it to her and said, exactly. And Nancy gave it to her and said, oh, this is a satire, don't take it too seriously. And she tries to downplay herself. She says, oh, my readers, I don't have many readers at all. This is mostly women.
Only a few hundred people will read it anyway.
Exactly. And when you please read it, and when you want me to change something, then I can change it. So this is what she offered Diana. And so now we see Diana reading the script in bed with Mosley, and she's not sure on how to proceed at this point because she's close to Nancy.
Yes.
And Oswald is
she wants to be a good sister.
Yes, and Oswald pits her very much against Nancy. He says, this is not about the advance money she spent. This is not about money. This is about loyalty. And what is more important? Are you, Diana, as a sister, more important to Nancy, or the money? So he is very manipulative here, and Diana, especially after this vertigo moment we saw earlier, she will do anything for him.
Oswald basically tells Diana to tell Nancy to not only kind of change a couple of things, but to chuck the whole thing.
Yeah.
And Diana knows what that means for Nancy financially.
Yeah. And Diana and Nancy are in a fancy day bar in the next scene, and Di basically says, I don't want you to change anything. I want you to not publish this at all. And Nancy does not have this choice. She can simply not do this for financial reasons. And then she also admits to Diana is, I do not like his politics. And Di, very composed as always, says, his politics are my politics. 100% support. And Nancy is very horrified as Diana positions herself so clearly. And this is the rift. Da-dum!
And I mean, she's probably horrified in parts as well, because she knows, like, Nancy at that moment realizes that this is the rift, that like their relationship will take a serious big hit.
Yeah.
And this is what happened in reality as well, right? Between the two of them.
Very much.
Because of that specific book, Weeks on the Green.
Exactly. And Diana didn't really talk to Nancy after that. Unity as well. Unity was the same. They both split from Nancy. And, well, back to the Osteria. We're almost at the end of the episode now. Unity watches from her place by the window in the angle
Nicely
that she
angled.
made up. Yeah. She watches the Führer gazing at him, and then she smashes a jug of water, and all the attention goes to her. And then a smitten SS officer in his fancy SS uniform comes up to her and asks her, "Would you like to meet the Führer?" Doo-doom! It's happening.
Ta-da! The day is here.
Yeah.
The day she's been
Yeah.
waiting
Yeah.
for, to meet her big idol. And like the one person who would top Oswald Mosley. And like the one way how she would, I don't know, like get, but like in a way more attention than her sister Diana for once.
Yeah.
And be more extreme than her, because Diana is sort of linked only to Oswald Mosley, who's the Führer only of the British fascist league, but then Adolf Hitler is sort of like the real deal. So she kind of, yeah, like if you wanted to have a competition between the one between these two, this is the moment where Unity wins in a way.
Yeah. Big life goal.
Yes.
So
The moment she's been waiting for.
yes, and the show makes it look like this happened very quickly.
Yes, I was about to
We
say
cannot
that.
be
Yeah.
exactly sure how much time passed in the show. We know that Unity went to the Osteria almost every day for almost a whole year until this moment happened. And that's a lot. That's a lot.
It feels
Yeah.
a lot faster in the series.
Yeah.
But like, yes, in reality, that was at least 10 to 12 months.
Yeah.
Until she was like, where she was sitting at her table waiting for that one moment.
Yeah.
Patiently waiting.
Yeah, this was really like a dream come true. I mean, imagine going to the same restaurant every day at the same time, waiting for 3 hours.
I mean, she didn't go every day. She explains she only goes. Yeah, she only goes when the flag is up at the Brown House.
But then she scheduled her hairstyling appointments accordingly. You know.
She bought stockings accordingly, which we know from her diaries.
Yeah. So she's meeting the Führer.
But we don't see this yet.
Yeah, we don't see him.
About to happen. It's about to happen.
And he's like he's behind this angle in this booth, so we don't get to see him clearly. This is
he doesn't. It's definitely not a speaking role. And as I know from the person who plays Adolf Hitler features in the cast list, of course, now. But again, it's this guy from Sussex
that they mentioned. Yeah. So and then we come to the last scene, and Nancy is in her home after the breakup with Diana, and it's the next morning. The bell rings at the door, and the debt collectors come and take away all her furniture.
And Nancy's words are like just when I thought things wouldn't get any worse, and then the debt collectors ring.
So she does publish the book, and they still take away the furniture. And it was so easy for Diana to dismiss the financial issue because Diana never had money problems.
Was swimming in money, of course, but like, hang on. So, like in reality, like did the debt collectors come and collect stuff from Nancy's
I'm
home?
not sure. I'm not sure if it was that bad. I know that she did spend the advance. This is true.
Okay.
And Peter did not have a job, but I can't say how much they could depend on her allowance from Favre that she still got.
Which she was still getting.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it was that bad, but still it was bad. We know this. We know that, I mean, like later on when Nancy lived in Paris, we know that very later in her life, the last address that she had was in Versailles in a small house, and she had to move away from central Paris because her rent was raised and she could not afford it any longer, so she had to move to Versailles. So she did not own her apartment in Paris. All the while, she still wore her, Chanel clothing, and she had all the nice things. So, but she didn't own the house, so she never made enough money from her writing to have a comfortable financial cushion. So, so it is very possible that it was as bad as depicted in the show. But what I found striking is that Diana, with all the Guinness brewery divorce money thrown on top of her, and Oswald was rich as well, she never had any financial difficulties. And then to say to another person, you have to be loyal to me, and the money is not the issue. You have to forget about the money. This is easy to say when this is not your problem.
While you're sitting on the high horse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
And Diana wasn't working. Like, while Nancy had to sort of learn how to make tea, fry eggs, and light a fire.
yeah.
Diana never had to do these things. Yeah.
So this is it. This was the third episode. I felt while I watched it it's 40 minutes each episode.
43.
Yeah, it's felt longer. I don't.
I mean, they're still going through a lot. Like, they're still covering a huge amount of content of story in each episode, which is still staggering.
Yeah. So what do we take away from this episode?
Well, things start to become hotter, like politically, the family drama sort of, yeah. I mean, there are some things that are a little bit resolved. Diana is sort of back at the family. Actually, she was reinvited for Easter. Fav might not have forgiven her, but at least they aren't shutting her out anymore, which is good for them. Yeah. But other things are on the way. And then, the whole situation between Decca, like Decca's running away plans, communist plans and agenda, and Unity's fascist agenda, like that is sort of, well, getting hotter and hotter.
I think what they're doing very well is to use almost only the characters within the family to drive the story forward, because this is not easy to do. To find an angle within the family to highlight certain topics or to cause certain plot points, that is not very easy to do. And they're doing well, except for the scenes with Unity, of course, because she needs someone there to interact with. So they introduced the Angela character, for example. This is done very nicely. I think from everything, the looks and the acting is very, very well done. What I find the shortness of 6 episodes together with the very tight budget kind of caused that you rush very much through the story. And
I fully agree.
And this is getting something that I don't want to say causes problems, but it doesn't help the cause. Like, we talked a lot about Pam today, and she doesn't get anything out of it. Debo as well. Deco is being more in the mix now because her story is about to start off, really. But I find if you had produced this because I was thinking about like a Netflix show with 4 seasons and every season has 10 episodes and you have all the big Netflix money behind that. The show with more time and more money could have been monumental.
Yes.
they can't be that because the conditions they had. They're doing the best they
They're
can
doing
with the
they're
conditions they
doing a
have.
great job. They're doing
Yeah,
a great job overall. Absolutely.
yeah.
I fully agree. But the whole season, and like I imagine this will continue. Could have
Mm,
definitely like used 50% of the episodes again on top per season. So instead of
yeah,
making it only 6, like make it 9 or 10, and like
yeah,
have a bit more room and breathing space. Like
yeah,
it's very kind of very chuck 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 chuck, moving.
yeah,
It's paced very very fast. And I
yeah,
mean they get the important stuff in. Of course, there's still moments like little nice moments of fun. They're making it light here and there, which is great. They're doing a marvelous job at that.
yeah.
But sort of like to get a bit deeper and like get to know the characters a bit more and their relationships, especially because they are so there are a lot of characters. It
Mm,
would it would have been beneficial to have 9 to 10 episodes per season.
yeah,
I agree. But then that is like you spend at least 50% of the money again as well.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. And if you don't have that, yeah, you
I
can't do it.
completely agree. I think they're doing the best they can with what they have, and still it doesn't. The scenes themselves don't feel rushed. They take their
Yeah.
time to explore the relationships and so on. I would even say they over highlight some things, like in this episode, for example, the depth was over highlighted. I mean, it's enough to mention it once or twice. You don't have to do this in every scene, maybe, as much as they talked about Nancy's virginity a lot. That probably wasn't necessary. And maybe because I know so much about the Mitfords that I constantly feel like, oh, this is missing, this is missing, this is missing. Oh, yeah. And so many good bits that would have been really cool to include. And that is
I
really,
bet.
yeah, and it's kind of a shame that they had to let this out. But again, somebody who does not know anything about them will not feel the same way. Of course, they will not feel that what is
Yeah.
missing. They will only see what is there, and what is there is really well done, well acted,
Yeah.
and or in almost all of the scenes, very well written too.
Yeah.
So the
I agree.
execution is really good, and I'm very excited for the next 3 episodes.
Yeah, we had a halfway point. Yeah. The one thing I'd highlight as well is like I really, really like and enjoy those family scenes where the entire family is together. Like be it at the church, like where you see all of them like in one place, but each of them has their own agenda. Or then that last scene at the dinner table where they have the political debate, where it's kind of gets clear who's on what side of the political debate and who's outside of it and doesn't really care and wants to move on and has a different focus as well. Those are great, fantastic scenes. To sort of, I don't know, they feel they're good scenes because they're bringing everything together again.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. So next week we'll bring more unity and what she's up
Unity
to.
at Osteria.
Debo will meet a man. And they definitely made her more, because it's never mentioned how old Debo is in the show. At this point in real life, she was 10 and she did not meet a man at 10.
Yeah, a little compliment also to Shannon Watson, who's playing Unity. Her German is really good.
Yeah, I thought so as well. She did a much better job than Kate Blanchett on her German.
Now that's a compliment.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. They're really good.
yeah,
Yes, I'm very much entertained still and keen to see the rest of it.
yeah. I hope I'm not being too critical on the show, because as a Mitford historian, you
As a
always
Mitford
feel like you don't
expert,
said what did they leave out? And as Germans, we kind of criticize them very much for not shooting in Germany. This is probably not something that bothers anyone or people.
No,
This doesn't have to bother anyone at all. It really does not. It's only
it
us.
does not matter. Like they found nice locations to film
Yeah.
it. They filmed them really well. That's
Yeah.
the important thing. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is really just two people from Munich, but like very much, a very specific complaint.
Bitching about this is not the real house.
Which is fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They found another nice, much nicer house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so, dear
That's-
listeners and viewers, thank you so much for being with us again.
Yeah.
For this episode. We hope you enjoyed it, had a good time.
And we will be next week with the recap of episode 4. And then there's 3 more episodes that we will do in total about the show. And then we will go back to covering the real Mitfords. Because this was originally the plan for the show, to cover the Mitfords, not the show. We're only covering the show because the show is happening as we started the podcast. That's the whole.
And we were too curious to see how they would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why. And then we will do many, many, many episodes about the siblings and the letters and the places and the
diaries, the houses,
all of that.
the house they lived in, the house they had to sell again,
Exactly. So everything will be covered in great detail. When we say in the intro it's the most in-depth coverage of the Mitfords available anywhere on the internet, we mean it, and it's coming. So we just have to watch the show first because the show is happening.
Yeah, as we're speaking. Yeah. So we hope you're excited as well about the next episode of Outrageous, and we'll see you next week again.
Bye!
Thank you so much for being with us. Bye-bye.